On a freezing night in April 1912, the largest and most luxurious ship ever built sliced through the dark waters of the North Atlantic. Passengers laughed in grand dining halls, musicians played elegant melodies, and many believed they were traveling on a ship that could never sink.
Hey guys,
They called it unsinkable.
hit the like button.
Just a few hours later, that same ship would be screaming with panic. Lifeboats would be lowered into icy darkness, and more than 1,000 people would vanish into the freezing sea. This is the terrifying true story of the sinking of the RMS Titanic. The ship that was meant to be perfect. At the start of the 20th century, nations competed to build the most powerful and luxurious ships. The British company White Star Line decided to build the greatest passenger liner the world had ever seen. The result was the Titanic. Built in the shipyards of Harland and Wolff, the ship was enormous. It stretched nearly 900 feet long and weighed more than 46,000 tons. Its interiors looked like floating palaces with grand staircases, elegant lounges, and even a swimming pool. The Titanic was designed with 16 watertight compartments, a revolutionary safety feature.
Hey guys,
Engineers believed
please
that
subscribe
even if
my
several
channel, hit
compartments
the like
flooded,
button.
the ship would still stay afloat. Because of this, newspapers and passengers began calling it unsinkable. The Maiden Voyage. On April 10, 1912, the Titanic began its first journey from Southampton, England, heading for New York City. More than 2,200 passengers and crew were on board. Among them were some of the richest people in the world, immigrants hoping for a better life in America, and crew members working tirelessly to serve the ship's guests. The captain of the ship was the experienced sailor Edward Smith. For him, this voyage was supposed to be the final journey before retirement. The first few days went smoothly. Passengers enjoyed fine meals, social events, and breathtaking views of the Atlantic Ocean. But warnings had already begun to arrive. Several ships nearby reported dangerous icebergs drifting in the North Atlantic. The night of disaster. On the night of April 14, 1912, the sea was unusually calm and the sky was clear. The Titanic continued moving quickly through icy waters. At 11:40 p.m., a lookout spotted something directly ahead. An iceberg. The officers tried desperately to turn the ship, but it was too late. The Titanic scraped along the side of the iceberg. The impact seemed small, and many passengers barely noticed anything. But below the waterline, the iceberg had torn open several compartments. Water began pouring into the ship. The terrible truth soon became clear. The unsinkable ship was sinking. Panic on the ocean. At first, many passengers did not believe the danger was real. Some even joked about the collision. But as the ship slowly tilted and icy water flooded the lower decks, panic spread. Crew members began lowering lifeboats. Here was another tragic mistake. The Titanic carried lifeboats for only half of the people on board. Women and children were placed into boats first. Families were separated in heartbreaking moments. Some husbands stayed behind, knowing they might never see their loved ones again. Meanwhile, the ship's musicians continued playing music to calm the crowd. The final moments. By 2 a.m., the Titanic was almost completely submerged. The bow of the ship was deep underwater, while the stern lifted high into the air. Passengers clung to the rails as the giant vessel groaned under enormous pressure. At 2:20 a.m. on April 15, 1912, the RMS Titanic finally broke apart and disappeared beneath the icy waters of the North Atlantic Ocean. More than 1,500 people died that night. Many victims didn't drown immediately. They froze in the near-freezing water within minutes.
Hit the like button.
Rescue and aftermath. About 2 hours later, a nearby ship called the RMS Carpathia arrived at the scene. It rescued over 700 survivors from lifeboats drifting in the darkness. The disaster shocked the world. Newspapers everywhere carried the tragic headlines of the ship once believed to be unsinkable. Investigations later revealed several fatal mistakes. The ship had too few lifeboats. It was traveling too fast in icy waters. Iceberg warnings were not taken seriously enough. A tragedy that changed history. The sinking of the Titanic led to major changes in maritime safety. Ships were required to carry enough lifeboats for everyone on board, and international iceberg patrols were created to monitor dangerous waters. More than a century later, the story of the Titanic still fascinates the world. Its wreck was finally discovered in 1985, resting nearly 12,500 feet below the ocean's surface. What was once called unsinkable became one of the most famous disasters in history. A powerful reminder that even the greatest human achievements can be humbled by nature. And on that cold April night in 1912, the ocean proved that no ship was truly unsinkable.